The story is told of a beautiful girl who lived in a castle in the middle of dense forests, but she always lived there alone. Hence, one day, bored, she goes out of the castle to make friends so that she could also play with them. For this, she gives gifts to other children, but no one made friends with her and ran away because people used to say, "The dark shadow of death roams with that girl." Hence, people used to call her a monster. Hearing this, that girl used to get very angry at those people. Hence, one day, to vent her anger, that girl starts catching fish from the river and killing them. But once, a boy comes out of the river, stuck on her hook, whose life that girl had unknowingly saved. Since then, the dark shadow of death that walked with her disappeared. But now, this boy started following her everywhere. Wherever she went, day or night, in mountains or forests, he started going with her everywhere. So, one day that girl asked him, "Will you always stay with me?" The boy said, "Yes, I will never run away from you." But then a butterfly comes into the hand of the girl who was picking flowers, which she kills, and lots of dead butterflies start appearing around that girl too. Seeing this, that boy runs away from there in fear, and as soon as he leaves, the dark shadow of death returns to that girl and tells her, "No one will stay with you because you are a monster. Remember this." So the girl says, "Okay, Mom," and this is the drama's female lead, Moonyoung. Then we see the drama's male lead, Gang Tai, who comes to his older brother's school because he had created some problem there. And we find out that Gang Tae's older brother, Sang Tai, is mentally a bit unstable. Hence, the principal expels Sang Tai from school and asks him to be admitted to a school for special children. But Gang Tae loved his older brother very much, so he takes him and thinks about going to another city, because in a few days, butterflies were going to arrive in the city, which Sang Tae is very afraid of. This is because a childhood trauma is connected to butterflies, about which we will find out later. So there was no one else in these two brothers' family, hence Gang Tai takes care of his older brother. Now we see the female lead, Moonyoung, who was a children's book author. She had come to eat at a restaurant when a child's mom sees her there, who really liked Moonyoung's fairy tales. Hence, she comes over to get an autograph. Seeing her, the child says, "You look like a princess." Moonyoung asks, "Why do you think I am a princess?" The child says, "Because you are very beautiful. That's why Mom also calls me a princess." Hearing this, Moonyoung calls the child over for a photo and whispers in her ear, "You cannot be my fan because only witches are beautiful in my fairy tales. So, tell your mom, I want to become a beautiful witch." Moonyoung had said this in such a scary way that the child starts crying upon hearing it and runs away from there. Just then, Moonyoung's manager, Lee, arrives, looking for Moonyoung, who is also the CEO of Moonyoung's book publishing company. But his company runs only because of Moonyoung's books, hence he himself is Moonyoung's manager. And he tells Moonyoung, "Today you have to go to a hospital to read a book." Here, we find out that Moonyoung has a strange obsession with sharp objects, and she really likes the knife at this restaurant. Hence, she takes the knife with her. Then, we see Gang Tai, who works at a hospital's mental and trauma center, where he very easily controls patients, no matter how violent the patients are. Meanwhile, Lee was bringing Moonyoung towards the hospital when he gets a call from a nurse named Nam Ju-ri, who works at a psychiatric clinic, and Moonyoung's dad was admitted to that same clinic where his condition was worsening. Hence, Moonyoung's sign was needed on the papers for permission for surgery. But Moonyoung says, "For me, Dad is dead," Ju-ri was telling her repeatedly. So Moonyoung says, "If you are so worried, then come here and get the sign from me." Now, Moonyoung's dad was the oldest patient at that hospital, but Moonyoung had not come to meet him even once. So Ju-ri comes to tell him, "Maybe your daughter will not come to sign the consent form." Upon hearing about his daughter, Mr. Ko starts panicking and says fearfully, "No, everyone will be killed. If she comes, everyone will be killed." Ju-ri gets a little nervous hearing his words. Here, we find out that Sang Tai was also a huge fan of Moonyoung. He used to draw in her books all day. Gang Tai calls to check on him. While talking, he tells Sang Tai, "Today, Moonyoung is coming to our hospital to tell stories to the children in the children's ward." Hearing this, Sang Tai starts getting ready to go to the hospital because he wanted to meet Moonyoung once and get her autograph. So Gang Tai explains to him, "You cannot come, because this program was only for the children of the children's ward." But he promises him, "I will get Moonyoung's autograph for you." Sang Tai agrees to this. Meanwhile, the time for the book reading event had started, but Moonyoung had not yet arrived at the auditorium. So manager Lee was getting worried. Moonyoung was smoking a cigarette in the walking area, which Gang Tae sees. So he tells her, "Don't smoke a cigarette, because smoking is prohibited here." Moonyoung, who was busy picking flowers, gets up and keeps looking at Gang Tae for a while. Then she asks him, "Do you believe in destiny?" Gang Tae says, "What did you say?" Moonyoung says, "You must have heard what I said." Then, throwing her cigarette into his coffee cup, she says, "When you need someone and they appear in front of you, that is what they call destiny." Saying this, she goes inside. Then, Moonyoung's book reading event begins, friends. But here a mentally unstable man comes out of his room and starts looking for his daughter in the hospital, whom he had tried to kill before being admitted here. Hence, he was kept tied up here, but now he had escaped from his room and was looking for his daughter again to kill her, because his daughter was also admitted here. So, his daughter was also listening to Moon-young's story in the auditorium. So, all the staff start looking for that man. That man is seen on CCTV entering the auditorium. So, some security staff come into the auditorium and stop the book reading event midway and tell all the parents, "Take your children to the ward." Moon-young gets very angry seeing this. Just then, that man sees his daughter, so he picks her up and takes her to a nearby room. But Moon-young had seen him leaving, so she also comes into that room. Before that man could do anything to his daughter, Moon-young hits him on the head with her bag, causing that knife to fall out of her bag. That man goes to pick it up, but Moon-young throws it far away. So that man pushes Moon-young down, grabs her neck, and starts killing her, which triggers Moon-young's trauma. This is because once in childhood, her dad had tried to kill Moon-young by strangling her the same way. Seeing this, that child runs out in fear, where she collides with Gang-tae. So Gang-tae comes and saves Moon-young from this man, and calms her down and starts tying his hands. But Moon-young gets very angry, so she picks up the knife and tries to attack this man, but Gang-tae stops her strike with his hand, which causes blood to start flowing from Gang-tae's hand. Moon-young says, "Stay away from this matter. It will be good for you." Gang-tae says, "He is a patient." Moon-young says, "No, he is a wild animal." Hearing this, that man calls Moon-young a psycho and runs out. Security catches him and takes him away. Gang-tae snatches the knife from Moon-young's hand and starts covering it with a handkerchief. Moon-young says, "Are you hurt, or is it this knife?" Gang-tae was not listening to her. Moon-young says, "I just wanted to give him a small cut, but you overreacted and hurt yourself." Saying this, she snatches the handkerchief, throws the knife away, and ties it on his injured hand, and tells him, "I have never done this for anyone." Then she tells him, "Some people in this world deserve to die, and some crazy good people kill such people for the sake of normal humans, so that normal humans can live in peace. So, tell me, which type am I?" Gang-tae says, "You are a lunatic." Moon-young smiles upon hearing this. After this, Gang-tae goes and gets treatment for his hand, but ever since he saw Moon-young, he had been thinking only about her. Meanwhile, Manager Lee was even more worried, because Moon-young had attacked a hospital staff member with a knife. Talk about this had spread in the hospital. Hence, he was afraid that if Gang-tae reported it to the police, the company's reputation, along with Moon-young's, would be ruined. So Moon-young says, "Settle the matter by giving them money. Haven't you done the same before?" But here, Gang-tae is fired from the hospital because that crazy man was the responsibility of Gang-tae's team, and the children's parents had complained about it. Hence, Gang-tae is held responsible for it and is fired. Meanwhile, Manager Lee starts finding out Gang-tae's information, so that he can stop him from filing a case by giving him money. Meanwhile, Namju-ri had reached Moon-young's address to get her signature on the surgery consent form, whose address Manager Lee himself had given. Namju-ri comes into the room, but seems a little scared upon seeing Moon-young. So we find out that they both used to be friends in childhood, but for some reason, their friendship broke. Moon-young says, "It's been 20 years since I last saw you. You have changed a lot." Namju-ri gets straight to the point and asks her to sign. Moon-young says, "Are you really this good, or are you professional, that you traveled so far from your town just to get a sign from me?" Ju-ri starts telling her about her dad again. Moon-young says, "I told you he is dead now." Ju-ri says, "But your mom must be alive." Moon-young says, "She died many years ago. I have even registered her death." Then, while reading those papers, she tells her, "My dad's soul is dead, only his body is alive like a zombie. And my mom is physically dead, but her soul is still alive. So, tell me, who is truly dead?" Ju-ri again goes to tell her about her dad's condition. So Moon-young says, "You worry so much about him, people will think you are his daughter. Why don't we do this? You become my dad's daughter, and I become your mom's daughter. If you agree to do this, only then will I sign these papers." Ju-ri gets quite nervous, but Moon-young says, "I was just joking." Then, while signing the papers, she says, "Why don't I come to your house like the old days? I will also meet your mom. It's been so many years." But hearing this, Ju-ri gets very nervous. She seems quite scared even while going back. Meanwhile, Gang-tae tells everything to his friend, Jae-soo. Hearing about Moon-young, he says, "Is she crazy? You got hurt and you were also fired. Why didn't you file a police complaint?" Gang-tae says, "This would have made the issue bigger and I would not have received the full money according to my contract. Anyway, it is the season for butterflies to arrive. Hence, we had to go to another city. So, in a way, it was a good thing." Now, he remembers because of Sang-tae's name that he had to get Moon-young's autograph. Otherwise, Sang-tae would get very angry. So Jae-soo copies Moon-young's sign from the internet, which both of them go and give to Sang-tae. But Sang-tae recognizes the fake sign in one go, hence he gets very angry and upset. Manager Lee had gotten Gang Tae's number, so he messages him, "I apologize and I ask you to meet at my office tomorrow to discuss compensation." Seeing this message, Gang Tae replies, "Okay," because he wanted Moon-young's autograph for his brother. Meanwhile, Moon-young could only remember Gang Tae's face, because she had really liked Gang Tae, especially Gang Tae's eyes. Meanwhile, Gang Tae was also thinking about Moon-young. Sang-tae has a bad dream about butterflies at night, in which he was running away from lots of butterflies. Because of this, he wakes up and gets very scared, locks himself in the tent, and starts shouting nervously, "Those butterflies are coming to kill me? They will kill me." So Gang Tae tries to calm him down, but he knows that he cannot drive away Sang-tae's fear, so he becomes very sad. The next day, Gang Tae reaches Lee's company, but he had not arrived yet, so he is asked to wait. So he goes to the waiting room where he finds Moon-young's book, so he starts looking at them. But suddenly Moon-young also reaches the company there, and upon hearing about her arrival, everyone starts cleaning up and specially hide all the sharp objects. So she was just about to ask her assistant about Manager Lee, when her eyes fell on Gang Tae, whom she keeps staring at. So she comes to him and says, "What of you? You look dashing in these clothes, but you also turned out to be like others. How much money did Manager Lee offer you?" Gang Tae says, "If you cannot speak politely, then speak clearly." Moon-young says, "I stabbed you. How much money did Manager Lee offer you to keep your mouth shut about this?" Gang Tae says, "It seems you have done this with many people, but I don't need money." Moon-young asks, "Then why did you come?" Gang Tae says, "To meet you, because I wanted to see you again. Your eyes remind me of someone." Moon-young asks, "Who do my eyes remind you of?" Gang Tae says, "A heartless girl." With this, we are shown a small flashback from which we find out that the fairy tale story shown at the beginning was the childhood story of these two. Moon-young had saved Gang Tae from drowning. How their stories are connected will be revealed later. Moon-young asks, "Were you afraid of that girl?" Gang Tae says, "No, I liked her." Moon-young is also shocked to hear this, but Moon-young says, "Are you trying to hit on me by telling me about your beautiful memories with that girl?" Gang Tae says, "Who said those memories were beautiful?" In the flashback, we see that in childhood, Gang Tae followed Moon-young everywhere because he liked her, which he told Moon-young one day. But then Moon-young kills a butterfly in front of him. In fact, she had killed many butterflies and asked him, "Do you still like me?" Seeing this, Gang Tae ran away in fear. Now, in the present, Gang Tae says, "Those memories were not good at all." So Moon-young says, "Only bad memories remain in the heart." So Gang Tae says, "I don't need money. So, tell Mr. Lee not to call me." He was about to leave when Manager Lee arrives, who was giving him the box of money. So Gang Tae refuses and starts to leave when Moon-young's assistant says, "Didn't you want Miss Moon-young's autograph?" Hearing this, Moon-young says, "Oh, so you are also my fan?" The assistant tells her, "Mr. Gang Tae asked me if he could get your autograph." Moon-young says, "Oh, so you don't want money but my autograph." So she takes out one of her latest books and asks for his name to sign it. So Gang Tae tells her, "My brother is your fan, and this autograph was needed for him." So Moon-young signs a book and gives it to him and says, "See you again." To this, Gang Tae says, "I don't think so," and he leaves. Moon-young was watching Gang Tae from the balcony because she had really liked Gang Tae, and now she wants to make Gang Tae hers at any cost. She even imagines picking him up in her arms. Then she calls her assistant and secretly asks her to find out all the information about Gang Tae. Meanwhile, Gang Tae opens the book on the bus, but in it, Moon-young had not put an autograph but had invited Sang-tae to her new book launch and book signing event where he could get an autograph as well as take photos. And Moon-young had done this only to meet Gang Tae again, but Gang Tae did not want to meet her again. So he tells his friend Jae-soo to take Sang-tae to that event tomorrow, and he goes to his part-time jobs. Sang-tae is very excited, so he starts preparing clothes to wear tomorrow. Meanwhile, Ju-ri comes to Jae-soo's restaurant. Now, these people were also friends and were meeting after a long time, so they sit down to talk a lot. Meanwhile, Gang Tae was having a lot of trouble due to the injury to his hand, yet he finishes his part-time job. Just then, someone comes here to meet Gang Tae, which was Nam Ju-ri, because they were friends since college. Ju-ri liked him since then, but Gang Tae only considered her a good friend. Jae-soo had told her Gang Tae is leaving soon and had also lost his job. Ju-ri asks him, "Which hospital have you thought of working at now?" Gang Tae says, "I haven't thought about it yet, but I will find one soon." So Ju-ri says, "There is an open position for a caregiver in my city where I work. The hospital's name is OK Psychiatric Hospital. You can apply there if you want. And since you are a certified nursing assistant, you will also get extra money. There are also 10 days off in a month." Hence, you can also do a part-time job along with it there. You also mentioned that you used to live in Songjin City in childhood. Gang Tae becomes silent hearing the name Songjin City. So, a flashback shows us that Gang Tae's mom was murdered in Songjin City, which Sang Tae had seen happening. But because he was mentally unstable since childhood, he told the police, "A butterfly killed my mom," and threatened that if I told anyone, it would find and kill me. Hence, he had been afraid of butterflies ever since. Now, because there was no one else in their family, the police were going to send Gang Tae to a children's care center and Sang Tae to a school for special children, which Gang Tae had overheard. Hence, he took his brother and left this city because his mom had made Gang Tae promise that he would always stay with his brother and take care of him. Coming back to the present, Gang Tae comes to drop Ju Ri at the bus stop, where Ju Ri tells him, "One room in my house is empty. My mom and I use the ground floor. So, if you decide to come to Songjin City, you can stay at my house." But Gang Tae did not want to go back to that place, so he says thank you and refuses. Ju Ri becomes a little sad because of this. So, Gang Tae sits up at night and starts searching about psychiatric hospitals, along with which he also finds out about OK Psychiatric Hospital, whose director, Mr. O, is Korea's #1 PTSD expert, who has healed many patients going through trauma. Hence, Gang Tae thinks about his brother because he still had the trauma of their mom's death. The next day, Sang Tae gets ready. Gang Tae was trying to call Jae-soo since morning, but Jae-soo was asleep after getting drunk. Hence, Gang Tae himself has to take his brother to Moon-young's event. Sang Tae looks very happy. Gang Tae is happy to see him, but there was a very long line for the book signing. Meanwhile, Moon-young's eyes were also looking for Gang Tae. Just then, she sees Gang Tae, which makes her very happy. But Gang Tae did not want to go in front of her, so he tells his brother to stand in line, and he stands a little distance away from him. Meanwhile, when Jae-soo regains consciousness, he calls Gang Tae back. Gang Tae goes outside for a while to talk to him. Just then, Sang Tae sees a child in a dinosaur costume in front of him, whom he starts imagining as a real dinosaur, and starts going towards him, because he really liked dinosaurs. His mind was also like a child's, hence he starts going forward to play with the dinosaur. So, after going there, he starts talking about this dinosaur, which the child's parents find very strange. Sang Tae starts talking about the brain, hands, feet, and everything about that dinosaur and starts touching its head and tail. Because of this, the child's dad pushes him and makes him fall. So, Sang Tae gets up and starts talking about the dinosaur toy he had with him and starts coming towards that child again. The child's dad grabs his hair and pulls it, which makes Sang Tae start screaming and hitting his head, because touching his hair triggers one of his traumas. Gang Tae comes running inside after hearing the sound and covers Sang Tae with his jacket. The child's dad kept saying bad things about Sang Tae. Meanwhile, Moon-young was also looking at them and starts thinking, should I help them or not? Gang Tae was about to stand up to talk to that man when Moon-young enters and asks that man to apologize. That man says, "Why should I apologize to them?" Moon-young says, "Apologize to me, because my event was ruined because of you." That man starts blaming Sang Tae while swearing at him. Hearing this, Moon-young also grabs his hair and starts pulling it, and says, "If you pull hair like this, who won't scream?" So, his wife rescues him and says, "This crazy person was bothering our child." Moon-young says, "Are you a psychiatrist that you can call anyone crazy?" So, Moon-young also calls her a crazy woman. Everyone is shocked to hear this. Everyone starts gossiping about Moon-young. In fact, many people had also recorded this video. But Moon-young's eyes were only on Gang Tae. After this, Sang Tae locks himself in a room. Gang Tae was sitting outside waiting for him. Moon-young was also sitting with him and tells him, "Go see your brother." Gang Tae says he won't come out until he calms down, which can take an hour or even a day. Hearing this, Moon-young says, "Then should I sit here for a day?" Saying this, she starts going towards Sang Tae's room. But Gang Tae holds her hand and stops her and says, "You go and manage your event." So Moon-young comes close to him and starts looking at him and teases him a little. Just then, a critic comes here and tells Moon-young, "You created a problem again, but Mr. Lee will have a lot of trouble handling this." Now, this guy was a famous journalist who used to write book reviews, so Mr. Lee had given him a lot of money to suppress this matter. Moon-young tells him, "You got the money, right? So get out." But the journalist looks at Gang Tae and says, "Is this your boyfriend?" Then, this journalist starts saying bad things about her mom. Moon-young gets angry and goes to hit him, but Gang Tae stops her and quietly tells him, "Get out of here." So, the journalist tells him, "Be careful of her." Her mom was also a famous writer, but one day she suddenly disappeared. Her dad was a famous architect, but he also suddenly went mad and has been lying in the hospital for 20 years. Hence, be careful. Moon-young was getting very angry, so she tries to pursue him. But Gang Tae stops her and says, "Don't go. So Moonyoung says, "Do you like me? Are you always going to take care of me? Or can you handle me?" Gangtae does not say anything, so Moonyoung frees her hand and leaves. Now, Gangtae had an idea of what Moonyoung could do, so he also runs after her. But before he could reach, Moonyoung had pushed that journalist down the stairs. An ambulance comes, and that journalist is taken to the hospital. Seeing this, Moonyoung gets even more angry, so Gangtae comes behind her and tells her to take deep breaths to calm down. Then, closing her eyes, he places her hands on her shoulders and tells her, "When you can't control yourself, cross your hands like this and pat yourself on the shoulder. This will help you calm down." Moonyoung asks, "What is this called?" Gangtae tells her, "It is called the butterfly hug method, which helps calm down patients going through trauma." Here, we also see Sangtae using the same method. Moonyoung holds Gangtae's hand and says, "It's no fun having you stand behind me." Saying this, she grabs his neck and brings him close and says, "Trauma should be faced by bringing it in front of you like this." Now, Gangtae became completely silent because of this. Then, Gangtae starts coming to see his brother, and Moonyoung starts shouting to stop him. Then she stops him and says, "Don't make me angry. Otherwise, if my anger explodes, it won't be good." Gangtae says, "That's why I taught you the butterfly hug method." Moonyoung says, "That is nonsense. I want you to be my safety pin, meaning you control my anger." Gangtae says, "Why should I be your safety pin?" Moonyoung says, "Because you are a caregiver, and isn't your job also to take care of potential patients?" But Gangtae says, "Go find someone else." Moonyoung says, "I will give you as much money as you want, but I only want you." Gangtae says, "Do you know what we tell people who get better? I hope we never meet again. Hence, please, from now on, we will never meet again." But Moonyoung stops him and says, "I am not your patient. Hence, you cannot say that to me." Gangtae says, "You are right. You are very different from them. Hence, staying away from you will be the best." Saying this, he goes inside the lift. So Moonyoung tells him, "You are not avoiding me, but running away from me out of fear, because you are a coward." Hearing this, Gangtae remembers his childhood, when he told Moonyoung that he liked her. Then, Moonyoung killed many butterflies, and seeing this, Gangtae ran away in fear. Meanwhile, Manager Lee gets troubled while handling this situation. Moonyoung says, "Shut all their mouths by giving them money." Meanwhile, Sangtae was still sitting very quietly because he did not get Moonyoung's autograph. So Gangtae gives him his favorite dinosaur encyclopedia, which makes him very happy. So Sangtae now decides, "Now I will not run." He was always thinking that he was running only for his brother and because of the butterflies, but in reality he was only running away from his troubles, which he now decides to face. Hence, he asks Sangtae, "Would you like to live in Seongjin City, where we used to live in childhood?" Sangtae agrees immediately. Hearing this, Gangtae says, "Maybe I was the coward." Sangtae says, "You are the little brother, so you are scared. But trust me, because I am your older brother." Gangtae gets very emotional hearing this, because Sangtae had said this for the first time. So, he calls Juri and tells her, "We are coming to Seongjin City." Juri is very happy to hear this. The next day, Moonyoung's assistant sends all the information about Gangtae to Moonyoung, from which she finds out that Gangtae used to live in Seongjin City in childhood. Reading this and remembering Gangtae's previous words, Moonyoung remembers that the boy who used to follow her in childhood was Gangtae. Hence, Gangtae had said, "Your eyes remind me of someone." Knowing this, Moonyoung leaves for Seongjin City because she found out that Gangtae had gone to Seongjin City. But here, there is a problem at the company because the video of Moonyoung raising her hand and swearing at a fan went viral. Along with this, Moonyoung's old scandals also come out, due to which Moonyoung and the company's reputation are quite ruined. Along with this, Moonyoung's new book was also being criticized because of its scary drawings. Hence, Manager Lee gets very worried, and he was not able to find any trace of Moonyoung yet, so his mood was getting worse. So the assistant tells Manager Lee, "I gave Gangtae's information to Moonyoung," in which reading the name Seongjin City, Manager Lee understands where Moonyoung is going. Meanwhile, Gangtae had joined OK Psychiatric Hospital, where he takes Moonyoung's dad for a walk with Ju-ri. Just then, it starts raining, so he takes everyone inside. By then, Moonyoung arrives here and comes inside the hospital. Sangtae was talking on the phone when he sees Moonyoung coming from the front and is shocked to see her. Moonyoung comes to him, so he asks her, "Why did you come here?" Moonyoung says, "Because I missed you." So Gangtae takes her outside to talk, where he tells her, "I told you we would not meet again." Moonyoung says, "But I did not say yes to that, did I?" Gangtae says, "What exactly do you want from me?" Moonyoung says, "I want you and I get what I want." While they were talking, the hospital's head nurse, Miss Park, arrives and tells Moonyoung, "The director wants to meet you." So Moonyoung goes to meet him, where he tells Moonyoung, "Your dad's condition is bad." But Moonyoung had no interest in his words. So the director tells her about group therapy, in which patients are taught and educated a lot. But they did not have any literature teacher. Hence, he offers Moonyong to teach literature. Moonyong is not interested in it at first, but Moonyong agrees to teach literature to stay close to Gangtae. For this, the director sets a condition that in return, Moonyong will have to take her dad for a half-hour walk, which Moonyong flatly refuses and goes outside. Meanwhile, Gangtae was changing his clothes when Moonyong suddenly comes there and starts teasing him after seeing his body. So Gangtae asks her to leave. She was not agreeing, so he himself starts taking her outside. But Ju-ri sees both of them in this state. Seeing her, Moonyong starts getting closer to Gangtae. So Gangtae takes her out and closes the door. Then Ju-ri takes Moonyong outside and goes to say something. Moonyong says, "I know what you want to say. That we both know each other from a very long time, right? And that I should not tell anyone about it." Ju-ri says, "Yes, that's what I wanted to say." Then she asks, "What is your relationship with Gangtae?" Moonyong says, "I cannot explain our relationship to you by telling you about it. In short, we are made for each other." Ju-ri does not like this at all because she liked Gangtae from a very long time. Gangtae was leaving to go home when Moonyong arrives with a car and asks him to go with her for dinner. But Gangtae refuses her and starts calling Jae-soo. Then Moonyong honks loudly and does not let him talk at all. Gangtae says, "No matter what you do, your tricks will not work on me." Moonyong says, "I am letting you go this time, but if you refuse next time, I will kidnap you and take you." Saying this, she comes to her old mansion in the middle of the forests, where there was only darkness all around. But Moonyong goes inside without fear and cleans up her room a little and lies down on the bed. Meanwhile, Gangtae, Sangtae, and Jae-soo, all three had come to stay at Ju-ri's house, where Ju-ri lived with her mom. So here, we see all of them having dinner happily together. Meanwhile, Moonyong wakes up in the middle of the night and sees her mom's ghost in front of her, which makes her very scared. So she uses the butterfly hug method taught by Gangtae to calm herself down, which gives her a little relief, and she imagines Gangtae in front of her, who calms her down, and in this way, she falls asleep. The next day, the manager calls Moonyong and tells her about the whole situation. So Moonyong gives him an idea to handle the situation. Spread the news in the press that Moonyong has gone to take care of her sick dad, whose condition is very critical. This will get public support for Moonyong. The manager is happy to hear this and asks her, "When are you coming back?" Moonyong says she will not go back right now. Meanwhile, Jae-soo had opened a cafe where he had hired Sangtae to draw paintings of couples. In return, he was also going to pay Sangtae money, but he asks him, "Don't tell Gangtae about this." Meanwhile, Moonyong had come to teach literature, but her focus remained on Gangtae. She quickly finishes the class and starts talking to Gangtae, but Gangtae was not giving her any attention. So Moonyong says, "Do you know? A few days ago, you came in my dream, where you hugged me passionately." Now she was demonstrating this in front of everyone, so Gangtae was feeling very embarrassed. Hence, he tells her, "Stop the nonsense," and starts to leave. Just then, Moonyong says a little loudly, "Do you want to sleep with me?" Everyone is shocked to hear this. Gangtae quickly comes and takes Moonyong away from there and tells her, "You stop doing all this." Moonyong says, "You talk to all the patients with a smile. Then why don't you talk to me? Your life has no fun at all. You live a very boring life, but I know you also want to have fun like everyone else." Hearing this, Gangtae says a little angrily, "What exactly do you know about me?" Moonyong says, "This, that you are living a false life." Saying this, she leaves. A little later, Sangtae comes here, so Gangtae takes him to meet the director, because he wanted to know if his brother's condition could get better or not. So the director asks Gangtae, "Please go out," and observes Sangtae for a long time. Because of this, Sangtae gets quite familiar with the director. The director had observed that Sangtae only focuses on drawing and forgets everything else while drawing. Hence, he decides to cure Sangtae's PTSD only through drawing. Gangtae comes, so he tells the director Sangtae is afraid of butterflies. So the director gives Sangtae the job of drawing the scenery outside the window onto the wall outside. So Sangtae says, "How much money will I get in return for this?" The director says, "The better the painting, the more money you will get." Hence, Sangtae starts working on the painting. Coming home at night, Sangtae puts money in his saving box. Gangtae comes and asks, "What will you do with so much money?" Sangtae tells him, "I need 3 crores, 28 lakhs, 90,001 right now, because I want to buy a caravan car so that both brothers can live in it. So that Gangtae does not have to change houses repeatedly because of butterflies, and Gangtae does not have to listen to the landlord's curses." Hearing this, Gangtae gets emotional and hugs him. The next day, when he was coming towards the hospital with Ju-ri, he finds out that a patient has escaped from the hospital. Moonyong helped him escape, who took him in her car. Just then, Gang Tae sees Moonyoung's car from the front, hence he gets out of the car and stands in the middle of the road and asks Moonyoung to stop the car. But Moonyoung kept driving towards him at full speed, but stops the car right in front of him. Gang Tae asks her to come out, but Moonyoung says, "You didn't run away from me out of fear, nor did you avoid me. I am impressed seeing this." But Gang Tae was about to scold her for making this patient escape, which Moonyoung sees and starts the car again and leaves. So Gang Tae takes Ju Ri's car and starts following her. The name of this boy was Gi-do, who was the son of a politician, Mr. Kwon. While coming, he sees his dad's election campaign poster. Moonyoung turns the car towards it and takes Gi-do to the place where his dad's campaign was going on. Gi-do runs up to the stage and starts shouting and telling everyone, "I am Kwon Man-soo's son, and I am crazy." Mr. Kwon gets upset seeing him here. Gi-do starts telling everyone, "In my family, my brothers, sisters, cousins, everyone studied at Seoul University, but I could not go there because my mind is a little slow. That's why everyone used to scold me and make fun of me. Dad used to hit me and lock me in a dark room if I didn't get good marks. But what was my fault in this if I was born like this? I am also their son. But why was I treated like this? They never paid attention to me. I started all these strange behaviors only to get their attention, but now, because of that, I have actually gone crazy. But now everyone's eyes are on me, so I'm happy." Just then, Mr. Kwon's security goes to catch him, but Gi-do was so agile that he dodges all of them and starts running away happily. Gang Tae gets emotional seeing him, because he also faced all this in his childhood. His mom always gave more care to Song Tae. Remembering all this, he gets very sad. Moonyoung comes to him and says, "This is called being happy. Life should be lived happily like this." Now, after this ruckus by Gi-do, Mr. Kwon gets a lot of bad publicity, and Mr. Kwon's son goes to raise his hand on Moonyoung for bringing Gi-do here, but Gang Tae twists his arm and makes him fall. Moonyoung is quite impressed seeing this. Ju Ri also arrives here after a while, so she asks Gang Tae to come to the hospital, but Moonyoung also asks him to come in her car. This time, Gang Tae goes with Moonyoung, so Moonyoung is very happy. Gang Tae asks her, "You promised the director. Then why didn't you take your dad for a walk?" Moonyoung says, "I don't believe in things like promises." Gang Tae starts talking about her dad's condition again, so Moonyoung asks him, "Your mom and dad are not there either, right?" Gang Tae asks, "How do you know?" Moonyoung says, "I also did a little research about you, just like we find out about anything before buying it." Gang Tae says, "How can you compare humans to things?" Moonyoung says, "Humans are a product. Look at Gi-do's example. Gi-do's siblings turned out to be good products, so they received all the love and all the care from their parents. But Gi-do only received hatred." Hearing this, Gang Tae gets angry, because the same thing had happened to him too. His mom always cared more about Song Tae. Hence, he asks Moonyoung to stop the car and then gets out in the middle of the road and starts leaving. Moonyoung comes to stop him. "What happened? Why are you so angry?" Gang Tae says, "I forgot for a while that you are different from everyone. I expected something from you for a while." Moonyoung asks, "What did you expect from me?" Gang Tae cannot answer this, so he starts to leave. Just then, Moonyoung tells him, "I love you, Gang Tae." Gang Tae stops, shocked to hear this. Moonyoung was smiling, but Gang Tae starts moving forward without saying anything to her. So Moonyoung starts shouting and saying, I love you," repeatedly, but Gang Tae does not stop. Moonyoung gets very angry. Even in anger, she was shouting and saying, "I love you," to him, but Gang Tae does not stop. Meanwhile, because of the problem Moonyoung had created, there is talk of removing her from the hospital, but the director says, "Give Moonyoung some time." Meanwhile, manager Lee reaches Seongjin City, where he meets Ju Ri at Jae-soo's cafe, where he falls in love with Ju Ri at first sight. Hence, he tries to talk to her, but Ju Ri does not give him any attention. Meanwhile, Mr. Kwon reaches the hospital and gets angry for not being able to handle Gi-do. Gang Tae comes to talk, so Mr. Kwon pulls him and slaps him. Meanwhile, seeing Sang Tae drawing, Moonyoung comes to talk to him. Sang Tae is very happy to see her. Moonyoung gives him an autograph and also takes many photos with him. Gang Tae was in a bad mood, so he starts looking for Sang Tae to go home. Just then, he comes to take him away after seeing him with Moonyoung. Moonyoung asks, "Are you still angry with me?" But Gang Tae was not answering her. Just then, Moonyoung sees a red mark on his cheek and asks him, "Did someone hit you?" She starts angrily asking for his name. So Gang Tae takes her aside and tells her, "Why does it matter to you? Do you feel bad about it? Or are you sad for me? Can you tell me how you are feeling?" Moonyoung cannot say anything, so Gang Tae says, "You have no such thing as emotion. Hence, there is no need to act like you know everything about me. You don't know anything about me, nor do you understand. Hence, don't lecture me from now on." Saying this, he leaves. Moonyoung felt very bad hearing this. Just then, Ju Ri brings her dad, so Moonyoung comes to talk to him. Seeing her, her dad says, "Why are you still alive?" Saying this, he starts raising his hand towards Moonyoung and then starts strangling her and calls her a monster. Moonyoung gets even more sad because of this, so the rest of the hospital staff come and rescue her. A little later, Moonyoung gets up and starts to leave. She leaves her car and starts walking. When Gang Tae was sitting on the bus, he sees Moonyoung walking, but he does not say anything to her. Coming home, he starts reading Moonyoung's new book. Reading an emotional story of a mother and daughter in it, he starts crying because he had not received a mother's love since childhood, which he always wanted. A little later, Jae-soo arrives home, who tells him, "Today, Moonyoung's dad tried to kill her in the hospital." Hearing this, Gang Tae thinks, this is why Moonyoung left so sadly, walking. Hence, Gang Tae takes Jae-soo's bike and sets out to find Moonyoung. It was raining heavily outside, but Gang Tae finally finds Moonyoung. Moonyoung gets emotional seeing him, so Gang Tae comes and hugs her, which makes Moonyoung very happy. Gang Tae says, "Are you crazy? Where were you going walking like this? What if something had happened to you?" Moonyoung is very happy seeing Gang Tae's concern for her. Now, Moonyoung's house was quite far from here, so Gang Tae brings her to his house and lets her wear his clothes. Then they eat food together, but Moonyoung starts flirting with Gang Tae. Hence, Gang Tae asks her to leave, but Moonyoung refuses. "You brought me here, gave me your clothes, fed me. Hence, I will sleep here tonight." Saying this, she lies down on the floor. Gang Tae tries to lift her, but cannot lift her. On top of that, Moonyoung starts shouting, taking Sang Tae's name, so Gang Tae asks her to be quiet. Just then, he hears Jae-soo coming upstairs. He quickly comes out and tells Jae-soo to keep Sang Tae with him today, and makes an excuse that there is a lot of water in the house. Moonyoung closes the door from the inside until Gang Tae agrees to let her stay here. Hence, Gang Tae has to agree. But Moonyoung troubles him all night. Ju-ri was not home last night. In the morning, Ju-ri comes upstairs to meet Gang Tae. So she sees Moonyoung outside, who is wearing Gang Tae's clothes. Ju-ri asks, "How are you here at this time?" Moonyoung says, "I am here wearing Gang Tae's clothes at this time. You can understand the meaning. I stayed here last night." After this, an argument erupts between the two of them about Gang Tae. At one point, Ju-ri slaps Moonyoung, and then their fight begins. Just then, Gang Tae comes and shouts Moonyoung's name and tells her to stop. Now, hearing his voice, Jae-soo, Sang Tae, and Ju-ri's mom also come upstairs. So Gang Tae brings Moonyoung outside. Moonyoung starts getting angry at Gang Tae. "Why did you take her side? You only got angry at me by shouting my name even though she hit me first." But Gang Tae gives her money for a taxi and asks her to leave. Meanwhile, Ju-ri was crying. She tells her mom, Gang Tae took Moonyoung's side again. He gave her his clothes to wear and also let her sleep in his room. She was very sad telling all this, but she musters the courage and tells Gang Tae her heart's feelings. But Gang Tae indirectly refuses her because he only considers her his good friend. But Moonyoung sees both of them together, which makes her even more angry. The next day, Manager Lee comes to meet Moonyoung, where he tells her, the company is in a bad condition. Moonyoung will not go back. So he asks her, will you at least work on a new story? The next day, Moonyoung comes to the hospital. Seeing Sang Tae's painting, she brings him with her to her mansion and offers him to draw for her new book. In return, she will also pay him a lot of money. But there is one condition for this. He will have to stay here and work. Sang Tae is very happy to hear this. Moonyoung had also made a contract for this. Sang Tae makes a slight change in it, saying, I do not want a lot of money, but only a caravan car. Moonyoung agrees to this. Meanwhile, when Gang Tae was looking for his brother, a nurse tells him, I saw him going with Miss Moonyoung. Hence, Gang Tae calls Moonyoung and asks her, where is my brother? Moonyoung tells him, he is with me, in my mansion. If you want to meet him, come here. Gang Tae says, okay, I am coming. Moonyoung asks, do you know the address here? Gang Tae says, yes, I know. I have been there once before. Moonyoung says, meaning you knew me? Gang Tae says, I recognized you the first time I saw you. So Gang Tae leaves to go to Moonyoung's mansion. By then, we are shown a flashback of them. Once in childhood, Gang Tae had come outside Moonyoung's mansion with flowers. Then, Moonyoung was very happy to see him and was coming to meet him. But her mom stopped her, because she did not like Moonyoung meeting anyone outside. Hence, Moonyoung came out, took the flowers from Gang Tae, crushed them with her feet, and asked him to leave from here, because her mom had told her to do so. Now, in the present, Gang Tae reaches the mansion. Just like the first time, Moonyoung was standing on the balcony waiting for him. When Gang Tae comes, Moonyoung says, you were acting until now. Why didn't you tell me before? Gang Tae says, I wanted to run away from you, because in childhood you saved my life, but I ran away like a coward. Thank you for saving my life that day, and I am sorry for running away from you even though I liked you. But now, besides my brother, I don't have time for anyone else. Moon-young stops him and says, you can take care of your brother, but why not mine? To which Gang-tae says, because I am tired of living for others. Moon-young tries to stop him and says, I saved your life, hence you cannot leave me. You are only mine. While saying this, she is about to fall down the stairs, but Gang-tae holds her and scolds her. Do you want to die? Can't you take care of yourself? Moon-young says, don't go. We can live together. Just then, Sang-tae comes, so Gang-tae asks him to come home. Sang-tae shows him that contract and says, from now on, this is home. I will live here. Miss Moon-young has hired me for work. Moon-young says, I told you that you cannot run away from me now. Gang-tae asks Sang-tae to give him that contract. Sang-tae says, this contract is mine, so I won't give it. I will work here. So Gang-tae shouts that this is not our house and snatches the contract and tears it up. Because of this, Sang-tae gets angry and starts hitting him and says while hitting him, this is mine. You have no right in it. I am only mine. So Moon-young comes and stops him and sends him inside. So Gang-tae leaves from here sadly. While leaving, he remembers a day from his childhood, the day his mom scolded and hit him because he had left Sang-tae alone. Then he had said in anger, I am only mine, and I wish my older brother would die. Saying this, he ran away, but Sang-tae goes after him to give him his red belt, which Gang-tae sees and feels bad for saying something like that about his brother. So both brothers start playing near the icy pond. Moon-young was watching them from a distance. Just then, Sang-tae's toy dinosaur goes onto the icy pond. Unaware of this, Sang-tae goes there and starts jumping happily, which breaks the ice, and he falls into the water. Seeing this, Gang-tae runs away from there at first. Sang-tae starts calling him for help, so then Gang-tae comes back, jumps into the water to save his brother, and lifts him up. But the water was so cold that Sang-tae leaves, shivering, without helping him. Then Moon-young came and saved Gang-tae. Gang-tae comes home and starts reading that torn contract. Here, Moon-young had written that she would give Sang-tae a lot of money in return for drawing. Sang-tae had cut it and written that, I don't want money but a camping car because my brother does not like changing houses. Seeing this, Gang-tae gets very emotional and decides to support Sang-tae because he genuinely wanted to do this work. The next morning, manager Lee reaches Moon-young's house again. So Moon-young introduces him to Sang-tae and tells him, from today, he will draw for me in my books. The manager says, you cannot take care of yourself. Then how will you take care of Sang-tae? Just then, Gang-tae arrives. So Moon-young says, the person to take care of both of us has arrived. Hence, she chases the manager away from here. Meanwhile, when Ju-ri finds out that Gang-tae has shifted to Moon-young's house, she starts swearing at Moon-young in anger. Meanwhile, Gang-tae also sets some conditions, that if Sang-tae refuses to stay here, he will take him away, and Moon-young will treat Sang-tae with respect. Moon-young agrees to both of his conditions. Then she goes to show them their room. The house was very big, but because it had been closed for 20 years, a lot of dust had accumulated. Hence, both brothers clean the entire mansion together. Gang-tae also cooks food for everyone in the morning, after which all three go to the hospital together. To drive away Sang-tae's fear of butterflies, the director looks at his painting and says, something seems to be missing in your painting. If you draw a butterfly, it will look even better. But Sang-tae refuses this. Meanwhile, a patient starts calling Moon-young her daughter and tells her, I am your mother. Have you forgotten me? Hearing this, Moon-young gets a little scared at first, but when she finds out that they are mistaken, she tells her angrily, you cannot be my mother because she is dead. Hearing this, the lady remembers that her daughter died in an accident, because of which she faints right there. Now, because of this incident, Moon-young gets a dream of her mother again, who tells her in the dream, I will kill anyone you love too. Seeing this, Moon-young starts crying in fear. Hearing her voice, Gang-tae comes running and hugs her and tries to calm her down. But Moon-young, who was very scared, tells him, you go away, otherwise she will kill you too. But Gang-tae hugs her and says, I am not going anywhere. Don't be afraid, I am with you. The next morning, Moon-young remembers her past, from which we find out that Moon-young's mom always controlled her. So she never let Moon-young do anything she liked. She liked short hair, but Moon-young's mom did not let her cut her hair, because with long hair, she looked like her. She says, you are my art, which you cannot spoil even if you want to. Remembering all this, Moon-young gets angry and goes to cut her hair, but she does not have the courage. Just then, manager Lee arrives here, and seeing her condition, understands that Moon-young's condition is getting much worse. Hence, he packs some of her belongings and starts taking her away from here. Moon-young did not want to go, but the manager could not let her stay here like this. Hence, he forcibly starts taking her away. Just then, Gang-tae arrives there, pushes the manager back and says, if Moon-young does not want to go, then you cannot take her away from here, and I will not let that happen either. Moon-young is very happy to hear this and tells him, get him out of here. So Gang-tae takes the manager out. Now, Moonyoung's mood was not good, so Gang Tae takes her out for a walk. Moonyoung is very happy spending time with Gang Tae. In the middle of this, Moonyoung suddenly asks him, "Have you ever slept with a girl?" Gang Tae is shocked to hear this. Both of them roam many places until evening. Just then, Gang Tae gets a call from Ju-ri, but Moonyoung snatches his phone and picks up the call herself. Ju-ri asks, "Where is Gang Tae and why didn't he come to the hospital today?" Moonyoung tells her, "Today Gang Tae took a day off because he brought me out for a walk." Ju-ri feels bad hearing this. Meanwhile, Moonyoung asks Gang Tae, "Was this our first date today? Or are you just flirting with me?" Gang Tae says, "It's nothing like that. All this time I was trying to avoid you, but now I don't want to anymore. I just want to be with you." Moonyoung is happy to hear this. Meanwhile, the manager was sitting drinking, but he was saying bad things about Moonyoung. Ju-ri was also drinking right behind him, thinking about Moonyoung and Gang Tae. Manager Lee sees her and goes to talk to her, but as soon as Ju-ri finds out that he is Moonyoung's manager, she pulls him and slaps him. The next day, Gang Tae comes to ask the director about Moonyoung's mom, because Moonyoung's mom is the one who comes in her nightmares, which makes her so scared. Moonyoung told him this. The director tells him, "As far as I know, Moonyoung's mom was also a famous writer who used to write books of the murder mystery, horror type. So, after writing the last book of that series, she suddenly disappeared. No one has seen her since then. She was searched for 7 years, but was not found. Hence, she was declared dead." Most people say Moonyoung's dad killed her mom. After this, many rumors spread, but no one knows what the truth is. Gang Tae comes home a little late at night, so Moonyoung is angry at him because she was waiting to eat food with him. For this, Gang Tae apologizes to her and asks her to close her eyes. Moonyoung was thinking that he would kiss her, but Gang Tae brought a dream catcher for her, which he had made for his brother, but it was of no use to him. Gang Tae says, "After our mom passed away, I could not do anything for my brother. I only made this dream catcher, but it was also of no use to him. Hence, he is a little sad." So Moonyoung says, "I will keep it." Then Gang Tae goes to his brother and says, "Tomorrow, I will take you to the same restaurant where mom always used to take both of us because you liked the food there very much." But Sang Tae tells him, "No, I did not like the food there at all. But you liked the food there, that's why mom always used to take both of us there." Gang Tae feels very bad hearing this, because until now, he always thought that his mom did not love him and did not worry about him. But mom loved both brothers equally and cared for both of them. But because Sang Tae was not normal like other children, she worried about Sang Tae more. Gang Tae cries a lot for misunderstanding his mom for so many years, so Sang Tae consoles him. The next day when Moonyoung reaches the hospital, she finds out that her literature class has been closed because last time, due to her, the condition of that patient who was thinking of her as her daughter had worsened. Moonyoung starts looking for the director in anger. Just then, she finds that patient. So she apologizes to Moonyoung, but Moonyoung starts scolding her in anger. "My job is gone because of you. How will you compensate for this?" Just then, that lady's shawl falls down, which the lady was looking at very carefully. So Moonyoung picks up that shawl and says, "In return for my apology, I want this shawl." So, after thinking a lot, the lady gives her that shawl. Taking it, Moonyoung leaves. So that lady tells Gang Tae, "Now I am free from my guilt. This is because until now, she was in guilt that her daughter died because of her. And this shawl was given to her by her daughter only before she died." Gang Tae comes to Moonyoung and says, "You did a very good thing. You unknowingly freed that lady from her guilt." Moonyoung is very happy to hear this. And now, to free herself from the fear of her mom, she comes home and cuts her hair, which she could not cut until now due to the fear of her mom. But finally, mustering the courage, she went against her mom. When Gang Tae comes home, she shows him her hair very happily, but she could not cut her hair properly. Hence, Gang Tae gives her hair a proper shape and size. Moonyoung is very happy because of this and asks Gang Tae, "How do I look?" Gang Tae says, "Very beautiful." The next day, when Sang Tae sees Moonyoung with short hair, he does not like it at all because he liked Moonyoung better with long hair. Moonyoung gets very angry to hear this. Then, when both of them go to a cafe, a fan of Moonyoung asks her for her autograph and a selfie with her. Moonyoung agrees and asks Gang Tae to take their photo. Now, seeing that guy so close to Moonyoung, Gang Tae gets very jealous. Seeing this, Moonyoung deliberately asks Gang Tae to click more photos. After the fan leaves, Moonyoung asks him, "Were you jealous?" But Gang Tae says, "No, why would I be jealous?" Saying all this, he starts going to the hospital. But he was indeed very jealous, which Moonyoung also knew. Meanwhile, Moonyoung's dad hears a song in the hospital, which his wife often used to sing. Hence, he starts feeling that his wife is somewhere nearby. He also tells this to the director. So the director starts checking the CCTV to see who goes around Moonyoung's dad's room the most. Besides the hospital staff, only a patient named Oren is seen around him the most. Hence, the director doubts that maybe she was the one who sang that song. When asked, she flatly refuses. Then, at home, Sang-tae sees that dream catcher with Moon-young, so both of them start arguing, saying, "It's mine! It's mine!" In this snatching, that dream catcher tears up, which makes Sang-tae very angry, and then their fierce fight begins. A little later, Gang-tae comes home and is surprised to see them fighting. But these two were not stopping the fight, hence Gang-tae shouts and tells both of them to let go of each other's hair. So both of them go to their rooms in anger. Then Gang-tae comes to explain to Sang-tae, Moon-young needs this dream catcher more because she does not get nightmares with it. Hence, Sang-tae agrees to give it to her, but says, "I will not share you with her." So Gang-tae starts sewing that dream catcher again. Moon-young comes, so he tells her, Sang-tae has agreed to give this to you. So Moon-young's anger subsides a little. Then Moon-young again starts teasing him by reminding him of his jealousy today. Then she rests her head on Gang-tae's lap and falls asleep. So, after making the night catcher, Gang-tae puts her to sleep properly. Then the next day, all three of them reach the hospital, because Moon-young's class had started again upon the patient's demand. Gang-tae was now thinking only about Moon-young all the time, because now he had realized that he liked Moon-young. After finishing the class, when Moon-young comes to the visiting area, a patient's husband comes there, gets angry at her, and is about to hit her when Moon-young throws a can at him. Then that man comes in anger and slaps Moon-young hard. Gang-tae sees this from a distance, which makes him very angry, and he comes and pulls that man and punches him. In fact, he was going to hit him more in anger, but other staff come and stop him. And because of this incident, Gang-tae is suspended for a few days. But he is happy with this because this time he did not hide his emotions. He did what his heart desired, hence he is very happy, and comes to Moon-young and tells her, "I have been suspended. Let's go on a trip somewhere. Just the two of us. You said, didn't you, that when I want to, you will take me with you?" Moon-young happily agrees. Both of them were deciding where they should go when Gang-tae says, "I can only go during the day because then I have to take care of Sang-tae too." Moon-young gets angry hearing this, but finally, Gang-tae agrees. And both of them decide that they will go on a trip for one day, and Jae-soo will take care of Sang-tae. Moon-young is very happy to hear this. Then the atmosphere becomes a little romantic. Both were about to kiss, but then the sound of a deer comes from the forest, which makes Gang-tae shy and leave, and Moon-young starts swearing at that deer. So the next day, both of them get ready and leave for the trip. So both of them roam many places and enjoy themselves. They take photos together to remember these moments. Moon-young was afraid of heights, so Gang-tae starts crossing a bridge hanging in the air to tease her. Meanwhile, Moon-young was moving forward very slowly due to fear. In this way, both of them enjoy a lot. Meanwhile, Mr. Lee had no place to live, so he comes to live at Ju-ri's house, where everyone sits together and eats food. Meanwhile, Mr. Lee was flirting with Ju-ri in front of everyone because he had started liking Ju-ri. Meanwhile, Gang-tae asks Moon-young what exactly happened between her and Ju-ri. So Moon-young tells him, in childhood, both of them studied together in the same school, but all the children bullied Ju-ri. But because all the children were afraid of Moon-young, in this way, she unknowingly helped Ju-ri from those bully gangs one day. Since then, both of them became friends. Because of her, Moon-young never felt alone. And other children also did not bully Ju-ri, but Moon-young did not like seeing Ju-ri playing with other children, so she scared the other children. So those children also started avoiding Ju-ri. Hence, Ju-ri broke her friendship with her. Coming back to the present, Gang-tae tells her, "You should become friends with her again." Moon-young says, "Now there is no need for her, because now I have a best friend, and you are here too." Then both go to sleep. Gang-tae had drunk, so he was smiling a lot. Moon-young says, "You look so good when you smile." Gang-tae tells her, "I had a very good time with Moon-young today." Now, the two runaway lovers from their hospital, who wanted to run away, had met where they were staying. But Gang-tae explained to them, first they should complete their treatment, and then after being discharged, both of them can live together. So Gang-tae asks Moon-young to go to the other room and sleep. But Moon-young wanted to sleep with him only. So both of them sleep together. In the morning, Moon-young wakes up and gets a little scared not seeing Gang-tae nearby. Hence, she goes outside to look for him. Just then, Gang-tae comes from the front with flowers and tells Moon-young, "I could not give you flowers in childhood." Saying this, he kisses Moon-young. Then both of them take those lovers back to the hospital. Now, because Moon-young and Gang-tae slept together, this boy spreads a rumor in the hospital that Gang-tae and Moon-young are a couple. This talk spreads even more in the hospital. Finally, this rumor becomes that both of them are going to get married soon. Sang-tae also overhears some staff talking about this, and he understands that Gang-tae went out with Moon-young. Hence, he gets angry at Gang-tae. "You went out with Moon-young by lying to me." Then he asks him, "Do you love me or Moon-young more?" Gang-tae says, "Of course you." But Sang-tae says, "You are lying because in childhood you wanted me to die. That's why you threw me into the icy water, and when I was drowning, you ran away." Gang-tae wanted to explain to him, but Sang-tae starts shouting loudly, "My brother Gang-tae wanted to kill me." Hearing all this, Gang-tae cries a lot, because for a few moments he did want his brother to die. He cannot deny this fact, hence he is very sad. Sang-Tai's health worsens because of this. Hence, he is admitted for some time, where Miss Park takes care of him. Meanwhile, Gang Tae is in a lot of guilt. Moon-young tries to cheer him up, but Gang Tae asks her to leave him alone. Moon-young tells him, "It was not your fault in that incident. Your brother fell into the water himself." But Gang Tae says, "I cannot deny this that for a few moments, I did want my brother to die. That's why I was running away leaving him there. You did not do the right thing by saving me, because of which I have to live a life like this." Saying this, he leaves. Meanwhile, Sang-Tai was slowly getting better. He had become good friends with Miss Park, but Sang-Tai was still not talking to Gang Tae, hence Gang Tae was very sad. So Moon-young comes to talk to him and says, "How long will you hide your feelings? You should clarify everything to your brother that you also want to be with me. Think about your happiness a little. How long do you want to be tied down to your brother?" To which Gang Tae says, "I cannot do this because my brother is everything to me. Hence, maybe ending whatever is between us will be the right thing." Saying this, he starts to leave sadly, which makes Moon-young cry a lot too. After being discharged, Sang-Tai comes to stay at Ju-ri's house. So Gang Tae comes and apologizes to him for running away and leaving him drowning that day. Sang-Tai knew how much his brother loved him, so he forgives him. So both brothers start living here again. The next day, Moon-young's dad attacks Oren because she was humming the song that his wife used to sing. Hence, he calls Oren a monster and tries to kill her by strangling her. But Gang Tae and the rest of the staff come and rescue her. Miss Park goes to ask Oren, "Why did Mr. Ko attack you?" Oren tells her, "He came to kill me, calling me a monster." But actually, this Oren was very mysterious. She always provoked other patients and talked to them in a very strange way. Even today, before being attacked, she had told Moon-young's dad, "Do you want to kill me again?" Hearing this, he started feeling that she was his wife. Hence, he attacked her. Gang Tae comes to talk to the director about this. The director says, if Moon-young's dad feels that his wife is nearby, then maybe his wife is alive. And if that is the case, she will surely come to her daughter and husband. Now, it was Moon-young's birthday, and she was bored alone at home. So she messages Gang Tae to call him. "Today is a very special day for me," but Gang Tae does not reply to her. Hence, she comes to Ju-ri's house to persuade Sang-Tai. She gives him this dream catcher and asks him to come back. But Sang-Tai refuses and says, "No one lies to their best friend. No one goes out alone by lying." Hence, calling her a liar repeatedly, he closes the door. Moon-young sadly comes home. Meanwhile, in the hospital, Oren hit a caregiver on the head with a stone and ran away. Before leaving, she had told that caregiver, "Today is a very special day for her." Hearing only this, Gang Tae gets nervous and leaves for Moon-young's house because he knew that today was Moon-young's birthday, and he was having a doubt that Oren might be Moon-young's mom. Meanwhile, Oren reaches Moon-young's house and wishes her happy birthday. Then she starts roaming inside the house and starts looking at and touching things. Seeing this, Moon-young says, "I don't like anyone else touching my things." Oren picks up a sharp object, so Moon-young grabs it to take it back. But Oren pulls that thing away, which cuts Moon-young's hand, and blood starts flowing from her hand. By the time Gang Tae reaches here, Oren had already left. Seeing Moon-young safe, Gang Tae hugs her. Then he asks about Oren, which Moon-young hears and says, "Did you come for her? Your brother is very important to you, I know. But is that escaped patient now more important than me? Were you not worried about me? Did you not miss me even a little?" Saying this, she gets upset. So Gang Tae goes to her room and ties a handkerchief on her hand. Then he tells her, "I was worried about you. That's why I came here." Moon-young says, "You are lying." So Gang Tae kisses her. Then he wishes Moon-young happy birthday and tells her, "I missed you very much." Gang Tae's body felt very hot. So Moon-young starts taking care of him. Seeing this, Gang Tae tells her, "Until now, there was no one to take care of me when I was sick." To which Moon-young says, "From now on, I am here." Then we find out that Oren was a crazy fan of Moon-young's mom, who used to do all these things inspired by her books. So, the police are informed to catch her. The next morning, Gang Tae tells Moon-young everything about himself. "We used to live here in childhood. Then someone killed our mom, which Sang-Tai saw happening. Ever since then, he is very afraid of butterflies. That's why we change cities repeatedly before the butterflies arrive. Sang-Tai needs me, but I also want to be with you. Will you stay with me?" Moon-young happily says yes. Gang Tae is also happy to hear this. Then he tells her, "For this, you will have to convince Sang-Tai that you do not want to take me away from him, but want to stay with us as our family." So Moon-young starts working on persuading Sang-Tai. She offers to write a new story with the drawings made by Sang-Tai. She talks to him lovingly, but even after doing all this, when he was not agreeing, Moon-young gets angry at him, which makes her plan flop. Meanwhile, Mr. Lee and Ju-ri were also slowly getting closer to each other. Sang-tae had completed the painting in the hospital, but the director tells him, "Until you draw a butterfly in this painting, I will not give you a single penny." Sang-tae angrily goes home. Gang-tae comes to explain to him he needs to stop acting like a child now and do what he promised the director. But Sang-tae was not agreeing at all, so Gang-tae forcibly starts taking him away, which makes Sang-tae start biting his hand. Then Gang-tae also hits him and tries to free himself, but Sang-tae says to him, "How dare you raise your hand on your older brother?" Gang-tae says to him, "First, you hit me, and now you understand that hitting hurts, right? Hence, stop your childish acts now and fulfill the responsibility of an older brother." Hearing this, Sang-tae says, "You shouted at your older brother and raised your hand too." Saying this, he goes to hit Gang-tae, but this time Gang-tae does not stop himself, and both brothers fight fiercely. Moon-young was hungry, so she calls Gang-tae to eat food. Seeing an injury on Gang-tae's face, Moon-young asks him, "Who did this?" Gang-tae says, "My brother, but this time I also hit him." Moon-young says, "Now you go and tell him that you love me and cannot live without me." Gang-tae says, "I cannot do that. I don't know how he will react." Moon-young says, "At least once think about your happiness. Don't you have any dreams?" Gang-tae says, "I had 3 dreams, out of which 2 are now complete." Moon-young asks, "What were the dreams?" Gang-tae says, "The first dream was, I wanted to go somewhere outside to travel, which you fulfilled. And the second dream was to fight with my brother, which was fulfilled today. And the third dream was to make friends and a girlfriend in high school, for which it is too late. But at night, he gets a dream, in which he finds himself in a high school uniform, where he had many friends, and he also starts liking a girl, who is none other than Moon-young, to whom he confesses his feelings. Seeing this in his dream, he was smiling a lot, which Sang-tae is very happy to see, because he saw his brother smiling so much for the first time, and he was also muttering, "I love her very much." Sang-tae starts looking at his smiling face repeatedly. So the next day, before Gang-tae calls, Sang-tae calls him and asks him, "Did you eat food or not?" Gang-tae is a little surprised to hear this because he was always the one who used to call and ask Sang-tae. Gang-tae had not eaten food, so Sang-tae calls him to eat. So both of them eat food together at the restaurant, and Sang-tae pays the bill, along with which he also gives Gang-tae pocket money and says, "Use it wisely, and if it runs out, ask me, because older brothers give pocket money to their younger brothers." Gang-tae is very emotional to see this, because for the first time, he acted like an older brother. Just now, Moon-young also gets up from the side table, because she had followed them and asks Sang-tae, "Pay my bill too, and I also want pocket money." But Sang-tae goes outside without replying to her. So Moon-young also goes outside after him and says to him, "I am also an orphan. I don't have a family. I don't have any older brother to give me pocket money either." But Sang-tae frees his hand and starts moving forward. So Moon-young shouts, "I also want an older brother like you." Hearing this, Sang-tae only asks his brother to come, but then he also calls Moon-young. So both of them run to Sang-tae, and all 3 of them hold each other's hands and come home. So Gang-tae and Sang-tae both come back to live at Moon-young's house again. The next day, Gang-tae had a holiday, so he wanted to go out with them, but Moon-young and Sang-tae were so busy with their work that both of them ignore Gang-tae's words. Hence, he comes to his friend's cafe to pass time, where all the girls were looking only at Gang-tae. So Jae-soo takes their photo and sends it to Moon-young. Seeing this, Moon-young angrily drives her car at full speed and reaches here and quickly feeds Gang-tae food at knife point and chases those girls away after warning them. Then, after a while, some children come, who start making a lot of noise here, who Moon-young sees and says, "I don't like children at all. Hence, I will not have any child of ours." Gang-tae says, "But I like children very much. And anyway, being a mother is very difficult." Moon-young says, "Then I definitely don't want children, because then I will have to be jealous of them." Gang-tae starts laughing hearing this. Meanwhile, Moon-young and Gang-tae come to the supermarket to buy things for the house, where Moon-young tells him, "If the child is like you, then there is no problem. So let's have our baby." Gang-tae quiets her down and says, "You should not talk like this in public." But Moon-young insists on it. "Now I want my baby." So, she shouts loudly. So Gang-tae quickly brings her home somehow after explaining to her, and Moon-young troubles him for the baby even there. But Gang-tae puts her to sleep somehow after explaining to her. Then he comes down and starts cleaning up a little. Just then, he sees a letter on the table, inside which there was a butterfly along with a piece of paper, and it was written on it, "I am coming for you soon." Seeing this, Gang-tae starts worrying about Moon-young. Hence, the next day, he takes Sang-tae to the director, where the director asks him to tell about the night when his mom was murdered. Sang-tae tells him, "I was walking with my mom at night. Then I saw a cat, so I went after it to catch it. But as soon as I came back, I saw a woman stab my mom in the neck with a knife. That woman's clothes had a brooch with 2 butterflies on it. That woman killed my mom. the way Sang Tae describes the brooch with 2 butterflies. Gang Tae remembers that he had seen the exact same brooch with 2 butterflies on Moonyoung's mom's dress in her family photo in Moonyoung's dad's room, from which he understands that the person who killed his mom that night was Moonyoung's mom, and he is very sad to know this. Meanwhile, Moonyoung meets Sang Tae and tells him, "Since we are a family now, all 3 of us should also take a family photo." Sang Tae agrees to this. Then she goes to tell Gang Tae about this, but Gang Tae was avoiding her. "I have a night shift, so I cannot go. You two go." Moonyoung says, "You have a night shift, meaning you will have a holiday tomorrow. So tomorrow, all 3 of us will go together to take a family photo." Hearing this, Gang Tae shouts and tells her to leave, so Moonyoung leaves. Gang Tae did not have a night shift today. He goes to the director and tells him, "Maybe Moonyoung's mom killed my mom." The director is shocked to hear this, so Gang Tae tells him about the butterfly brooch. But he thinks, "I do not want to tell Moonyoung about this because it will hurt her very much to know this." Gang Tae returns home and sits next to Moonyoung and keeps looking at her. The next day, Sang Tae and Moonyoung come to call Gang Tae to take a photo together, but Gang Tae refuses and asks both of them to go together, which makes both of them feel very bad. Hence, both of them were not looking happy at all while taking photos together. But after a while, Gang Tae also comes in a suit because Moonyoung had no fault in his mom's death. So all 3 of them take many good photos together. Then Gang Tae apologizes to Moonyoung for his behavior yesterday and promises her, "I will always protect our family." Moonyoung is very happy to hear that Gang Tae called her family. Meanwhile, Moonyoung's dad's health starts getting very bad, and now he did not have much time left. Moonyoung is told about this, but it does not affect her. At night, Miss Park comes to check on Moonyoung's dad, where he tells her about his sin, "I killed my wife." With this, a flashback from 20 years ago begins. Moonyoung's mom returns after killing Gang Tae's mom. She was singing a song when she came back. Moonyoung's dad was drinking because he had found out that he had a brain tumor. Just then, he gets news of a woman dying, and upon hearing about her, he understands that that woman used to work in their mansion. So, when asked about that murder, Moonyoung's mom says, "She crossed her line, so I had to kill her." Saying this, she started laughing like a psycho. Seeing this, Moonyoung's dad worried about Moonyoung, so he pushed Moonyoung's mom from the first floor. And Moonyoung saw him doing this. So that no one would know about this, he threw the dead body into the river. And Moonyoung's dad was afraid, thinking, "My daughter might also become a monster like her mom." Hence, he once tried to kill Moonyoung in childhood, but he could not kill her. By then, Gang Tae had also arrived and had heard everything. Moonyoung's dad wanted to apologize to Moonyoung once for all this, so that he would have no regrets. But he dies before apologizing to Moonyoung. So Gang Tae, Sang Tae, and Moonyoung come to his funeral, where Moonyoung now feels bad for her dad, because she also had good memories with her dad. So, a few days later, Sang Tae was finally going to draw a butterfly in that painting, but all 3 of them go and see that there were already 2 butterflies drawn in that painting, and this butterfly was exactly like the one on Moonyoung's mom's brooch. Seeing this, Sang Tae starts panicking and starts saying, "This is the same butterfly that killed my mom. The killer was wearing a brooch with a butterfly like this. That woman killed my mom." Moonyoung is shocked to hear this, because her mom had such a brooch. Hence, she understands that Moonyoung's mom killed Gang Tae's mom, and she goes out crying, knowing this. Gang Tae comes to console her, but Moonyoung asks him, "Is all this a lie?" To which Gang Tae cannot say anything. Hence, Moonyoung leaves very sadly. Then Gang Tae and the director check the CCTV, and they find out that the person who drew this butterfly was Miss Park, from which Gang Tae understands that Miss Park is Moonyoung's mom. So Moonyoung's mom had survived, and she had surgery to change her face. Then she came to work in this hospital because she wanted to see her husband die, in pain, suffering. So, on the night he died, after Gang Tae left, she came back to Mr. Ko's room, because Mr. Ko had said that he had no other regret than apologizing to Moonyoung. Hearing this, Miss Park got angry, because Miss Park had kept him alive until now, so that he would regret it for his entire life. But now, when he had no regret about killing him, Miss Park killed him. Meanwhile, Gang Tae comes and tries to explain to Moonyoung a lot. "It is not your fault in this." But Moonyoung was feeling very guilty because Gang Tae and Sang Tae had to endure so much because of her mom. Gang Tae tells her, "Miss Park is your mom." Moonyoung gets very scared to know this and asks Gang Tae to take Sang Tae and go far away, because she had said that she would not leave anyone close to Moonyoung. But Gang Tae calms her down somehow, but she wanted to be alone. Hence, she asked Gang Tae to leave, which is why she was not eating food now. Sang Tae calls to know about Moonyoung's condition, but Gang Tae does not tell him the truth about Moonyoung's mom yet, but he tells him Moonyoung is not well, which Gang Tae hears, comes home, and asks Moonyoung to eat food. When she does not speak, Sang Tae feeds her with his hands. Moonyoung repeatedly apologizes to him while crying. Sang-tae says, I am the older brother, so listen to me. You eat food. Moon-young starts eating food while crying. Hearing this, but she was repeatedly apologizing to him. So Sang-tae forgives her. Then he comes out and tells Gang-tae, I fed her food, but I don't know why she was repeatedly apologizing to me. Hearing this, Gang-tae gets emotional and hugs him and says, I will always protect both of you. Now, Sang-tae did not know that Miss Park was Moon-young's mom, and that she had killed his mom. Meanwhile, Gang-tae was not able to find Sang-tae anywhere, so he gets very worried looking for him. He had not told Moon-young anything about this, and had asked Mr. Lee to take Moon-young out for a walk. Gang-tae calls Sang-tae's phone. Miss Park picks up the call and tells him, if you want your brother, then come to the mansion. Meanwhile, Moon-young was feeling something was wrong, so she stops the car and starts coming back towards her mansion. Meanwhile, Gang-tae reaches the mansion, where he finds his brother lying unconscious. Miss Park says, I just gave him a little tranquilizer injection. He will regain consciousness after a while. But you have spoiled my daughter, so I cannot leave you like this. Moon-young should have been here too. Then it would have been more fun. But since she is not here right now, I will give you one chance. Take your brother and go far away from Moon-young's life. But Gang-tae says, I will not leave Moon-young and go anywhere. Miss Park says, even if I tell you that your mom's death was caused by Moon-young. With this, we are shown a flashback that Gang-tae's mom used to work in this mansion. One day she saw Moon-young, who was looking at a bird that was injured, which she saw and told Gang-tae's mom, this bird cannot fly now, so it would be better to kill it. Gang-tae's mom was surprised to hear this. She went and told Moon-young's mom, maybe your daughter should see a psychiatrist. Just hearing this, Moon-young's mom got angry, so she killed Gang-tae's mom while she was going home. Telling this, Miss Park starts laughing like a psycho, which Gang-tae sees and comes running to hit her in anger. But Miss Park gives him a poisonous injection. Just then, Moon-young also reaches here, who picks up a knife and comes to hit her mom. But Gang-tae stops her strike with his hand, because he did not want Moon-young to become like her mom. But just a few seconds later, Gang-tae falls unconscious. Seeing this, Moon-young cries a lot. Now, seeing Moon-young crying for someone else, her mom gets angry and starts threatening her. Just then, Gang-tae picks up a book and hits Miss Park on the head, which makes her faint. Then, Sang-tae calls the director for help. So the director arrives here with the police and an ambulance. Moon-young's mom is arrested, and the director gives Gang-tae the antidote, due to which he regains consciousness after a few hours. Moon-young goes to him and says, I cannot forget whatever my mom did to your family. Hence, leave me alone. You two go. Saying this, she goes to her room. The next day, she calls Mr. Lee and says, I am going to retire now, so you should also leave. Gang-tae comes to talk to Moon-young again, but Moon-young says, as long as you are around me, I will feel even worse. Hence, you go away. So Gang-tae shouts a little, I know you cannot live without me. Hence, stop doing all this. Moon-young gets angry to hear this and says, how dare you shout at me? Gang-tae gets a little nervous and says, maybe it's the problem with this room. I said it softly. Saying this, he runs away. Now, Moon-young was not eating food, so Gang-tae and everyone else were very worried about her. Hence, all of them make a plan. Ju-ri calls Moon-young and tells her, my mom is not well. She is alone at home. I am in an emergency case, so I cannot go. So can you go and check on her a little? Because Ju-ri knew that her mom would not let Moon-young leave without feeding her food. Moon-young reaches Ju-ri's house, and seeing her mom safe, she gets very angry at Ju-ri. But Ju-ri's mom feeds her food, and only then lets her leave. Meanwhile, Gang-tae and Sang-tae plant a tree in their mother's name, on which they also put their family photo, so that whenever they miss their mother, they will come here and talk to her. When Moon-young comes home, she sees Sang-tae sleeping on the stairs, so she wakes him up. Sang-tae shows her a drawing which was of Gang-tae sleeping, when he was smiling after seeing Moon-young in his dream. Sang-tae tells her, I saw my brother this happy for the first time, and he was this happy because of you. So the next day, Moon-young goes to the same tree and apologizes for what her mom did to them. Just then, Gang-tae also comes there and tries to persuade her again. But Moon-young ignores him and starts to leave, so Gang-tae finally says, I love you. But Moon-young still starts to move forward. So Gang-tae starts shouting, just like her, and expresses his love. Moon-young had agreed, but she was taking revenge for his time, because Gang-tae had also left without answering her. Gang-tae follows her all the way to the house. Even after coming home, his I love you does not stop, which irritates Moon-young, and she tells him, if you say, I love you one more time, I will. Saying this, she becomes silent. So he brings her close to him and says, what? You will kiss me? Saying this, he picks her up and goes to kiss her again. But then the sound of a deer comes, so this time Gang-tae starts shouting at the deer. Both of them start laughing because of this, but their romance continues. Now everything was fine. The next day, Moon-young tells Gang-tae that she will publish the book written with Sang-tae, which Sang-tae is very happy to hear. Then Moon-young goes to meet her mom one last time, where her mom tells her, "You will never be happy with those losers and you will never forget me." Moon-young tells her, "I will erase your memories and make happy memories with my family." Meanwhile, Sang-tae starts drawing his butterfly in the hospital painting. Gang-tae goes to meet his friend Jae-soo because he supported Gang-tae at every step. Hence, he thanks him for everything because he had not been able to thank his friend even once until now. Meanwhile, Moon-young's new book is published. Sang-tae is very happy to see his name and photo in it, and he runs to show it to his mom and proudly tells her, "Mom, now I have become an artist." Saying this, he is very happy and emotional. So Gang-tae and Moon-young also get very emotional seeing him happy. A few days later, they come to the hospital to read and narrate the story of their new book, which was about Moon-young, Gang-tae, Sang-tae, the hospital staff, and the patients. So an argument starts between Sang-tae and Moon-young over who will read the rest of the story, whom Gang-tae has to intervene to stop. But these people kept fighting, seeing which everyone starts laughing. Meanwhile, Mr. Lee and Ju-ri's love story had also begun. In fact, Mr. Lee is going to set up his new office in Seongjin City itself to stay close to Ju-ri. So, because he completed the painting, the director gifts Sang-tae a caravan car, which Sang-tae and everyone else are very happy to see. Coming home, Gang-tae tells them, "We should go on a long trip." But Moon-young and Sang-tae both refuse him. So Gang-tae gets sad and goes to drink with Jae-soo and Mr. Lee. He comes home and sees that Moon-young and Sang-tae were both ready to go on the trip. In fact, they were also wearing family t-shirts, and they had refused earlier to give Gang-tae a surprise. Gang-tae is very happy to hear this, but Moon-young gets very angry at him for drinking. So the next day, all three of them leave on a family trip, where all three happily roam many places and enjoy a lot. One night, Moon-young apologizes to Gang-tae again that they had to endure so much because of her. Gang-tae says, "Don't ever say sorry again." Both of them happily kiss. The next day, all three of them were about to leave for a new place, but Sang-tae says, "Now I will not go with you further. You both continue this trip together, because I am going back to become a professional artist. A writer really liked my drawings, so she offered me the job of an artist." Gang-tae says, "Will you be able to live without me?" Sang-tae says, "I am only mine and you are only yours. And anyway, I am older than you, so I can live alone now." Gang-tae gets very emotional to hear this because, finally, his brother had become responsible and could take care of himself. So Sang-tae hugs him. A little later, Mr. Lee comes to pick him up, so he says goodbye to Moon-young and Gang-tae and leaves. But Moon-young and Gang-tae continue their trip. Finally, everyone starts living their lives happily, and that dark shadow disappears forever. The drama ends right here with this happy ending.